Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for spending some time with me tonight. And I want to talk about the difference between one magical spot and then a good area, because they're both very important. Now, this time of year in the pre-spawn, one magical spot does win a lot of tournaments. Those fish are setting up a little shallower than they do in the summer. They group up like they do in the summer now, but a little less likely to be found. People aren't going to idle over them, see them on side scan, and they can just go unmessed with, therefore catch a giant bag off in one place. Now, a good area is also important. You want to find that this time of year because fishing is going to change. Springtime changes by the hour, and if you can find something developing the day of your tournament, then that's when you're going to catch your biggest bag. So let's talk about the downsides of both of these two scenarios. So one magic spot, we all have our favorite spot, and that can be magic this time of year. I mean, the pre-spawn, they're super grouped up, and you can catch the biggest bag on your lake all year on one spot. The downside of that is those fish are going to stay there for a little while. So a lot of people can find them, and you just have time to go out there and seek those fish out. Fishing pressure is going to mess them up. If you don't have them yourself, you got to share them. You know, a lot of these are just one cast type spots, and if you're sharing them with someone else, it's really going to mess it up. Now, when I've found these money spots where I caught all my weight off of just one spot, a lot of the times I didn't find them until the tournament. So that's where a good area comes in. Like maybe you just see a lot of bait and you're thinking, there's no bass here now, but maybe tomorrow could be loaded. And that happens. Or maybe the water comes up and those fish are all around out here, and with the rising water, they all just suck right to a point, and then it's loaded. One cast, and you can just catch them. So the fishing is going to change day by day, and when you can figure it out like that day, that's when you're going to catch the biggest bags. So I look back on some of my best tournaments I've ever had. They get on little nothing type places, you know, creek channels winding all around, and then there's just a little shell bed, or maybe just a little cut in the grass. Maybe it's one rock, and all those fish will be right on it. But you're not always going to find that in practice, and they're not always going to be there when you find it. So a lot of times it's just like, man, that looks really good. They could show up anytime. And it's the same thing with like maybe one lay down in the back of a big cove or something like that. It's good. You might have to hit it 3 or 4 times throughout your tournament, and you're going to run into them at some point. So a good area for me is what I'm typically looking for. I want to find a place where there's a population of fish and then spend my 8 hours fishing. You know, I might fish 5 spots in the first 4, don't have anything on them. Then that 5th spot, you catch your limit right there. So if you are in a good area where there's a large population of fish, eventually you run enough water, you're going to run into them. And that's very important this time of year because the fishing can be tough. I mean, like I said earlier, you could hit 4, 5 spots in the first 4, not get a bite, and then the 5th spot, all the fish are right there. So it's good to have obviously a good starting spot, but don't always put too many eggs in that basket because it might not be that good. You know, if you pulled in there on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday before your tournament on Saturday, made 3 casts and caught 2 fish, that's typically a good sign that you can go there and at least get a good start, but that doesn't mean you have to sit there all day. You may have to cover 5 or 10 more spots. And then once you get bit in the pre-spawn, you typically can really hone in on that area and get a lot more bites. So try that, guys. This is very important that you have 2 things working this time of year because the fishing is always changing. So good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.